Good evening to everyone. A special greeting full of gratitude from Adyar to Sister Varsha Patel and all the brothers and sisters of the Rohit Lodge, and to all those gathered here today to commemorate this Adyar Day, in which we celebrate the lives of true messengers of Theosophical teachings, Giordano Bruno, Leadbeater, Krishnamurti, and Olcott, whose life and work showed integrity, free thought in a Krishnamurtian sense, and who wanted to spread that truth to their contemporaries, becoming torches of light. Sister Varsha very kindly invited me to share today some thoughts on the life of the Italian philosopher Giordano Bruno, who for more than half of his 52 years of life maintain an attitude of true religiosity. The word religion comes from the Latin religare, which means bind with the sacred. And the motto of the Theosophical Society says, there is no religion higher than truth. The search for truth is therefore what should inspire the religious man. However, very few human beings are truly religious and go beyond what the dominant religious or scientific doctrine of their time teaches. Few seek to remove the veils behind which eternal wisdom hides. Giordano Bruno was one of such men, a spirit of true love for science and religion. He became a Dominican priest at an early age, and also he was later excommunicated by the church. And as ironic as it may seem, it was the Catholic Church in charge of protecting religion and dictating the limits of science at the time that, through its so-called Holy Inquisition, the mean within the Catholic Church, whose aim was to combat heresy, condemned our hero to the stake. He was even persecuted by the Calvinist Protestants, showing that despite trying to be reformers of certain principles of Christianity, Protestant became an equally dogmatic church and closed to deeply revealing ideas such as those of Bruno. Giordano Bruno, born in Nola, Italy in 1548, was burned to death in the Piazza di Fiori in Rome, after a long trial that lasted the 8 last years of his life. And after spending most of his life fleeing from one European city to another, Bruno said, all the earth is a homeland for a true philosopher. He died on February 17th, 1600, and before dying, he pronounced before his judges the following words: perhaps your fear of passing judgment is greater than my fear of receiving it. He did not fear death because he understood that life transcends the momentary matter. He was aware of the unity of life. He knew that the body is only a vehicle of the high spirit and that the true purpose of human existence is evolution and its ultimate goal is union with the source. Bruno affirmed that the universe is infinite, that God is in all things, that there are innumerable worlds with other forms of life. He also denied the core of Catholic doctrines and spoke openly about reincarnation. In the volume 1 of Isis Unveiled, HPV says about him, his philosophy, inherited from Pythagoras, expresses similar ideas to those of the Upanishads. And in fact, Pythagorean ideas were very close to him, not only because of their affinity, but also because Nola, his homeland, was, at the time of Pythagoras, the center where the philosopher thought. It is even said that in a previous life, Bruno was part of the group of close disciples to Pythagoras. Due to his philosophy, he was persecuted and accused of being an heretic and an atheist. Like the Indian Svabhavikas, Bruno imparted his teachings and expressed his beliefs publicly, and these were opposed to those of his time. And although he often had the favor of kings and scholars, he never had rest, for he never agreed to retract his ideas, to silence his voice and his restless mind. Possessing a profoundly open mind, an eager intellect, a brilliant intelligence, eloquence, and natural disposition for debate, he always questioned and examined in depth all the teachings of his time, espousing the scientific and philosophical backwardness. A really theosophical approach to life. He was an apostle of truth. His life was a living example of that brave declaration of principles of HPB's golden scale. He used to say, fear, falsehood, and baseness are the real evils of life. Only a noble life is useful. Dishonor is worse than death. It stains the life, while death does nothing but break the form. And never, not even when he was asked to attend Mass and reaffirm his faith in the Church in exchange of teaching at the University of Paris, not even during the 8 last years of his life that he spent in a cell while his trial took place, not even during the 8 last days before his death, in which the religious authorities offered him to spare his life if he publicly recanted his statements. Never, never he betrayed his principles and the call of his soul. In his text, we read, "There are still ideals which are worth martyrdom. There is still a service which demands the sacrifice of all the world holds dear." And those ideals were the same ideals of the service of the masters for the progress of man. Bruno's path can be compared to that of the Bodhisattva. He embarked on a quest for universal truths, for knowledge of the eternal, and strove throughout his life, not only to defend these truths, but to spread them, to awaken minds. His quest was not for his own benefit, but for the benefit of all, like the Bodhisattva, who seeks not only individual but collective salvation. He was motivated by compassion and commitment to the religion of truth. Bruno identified himself as an awakener of slumbering souls. HPB dedicated fragments of her Isis Unveiled and collected writings to explain his ideas. Annie Besant deeply admired Giordano Bruno and wrote extensively about him. She called him the apostle of theosophy. In fact, it is even said that she was Bruno's reincarnation. We don't know clearly about that, but what we can say for sure is that the message that Bruno proclaimed in the 16th century resonates in the world in the 21st century. He brought to the Western world of his time the message of theosophy. It is that attitude of Bruno that we must remember in our day-to-day lives. Today, on this Adyar day, the 421st anniversary of his physical death, we do so in a special way. His ideas are still relevant. Looking back at them should make us think about our purpose as students of Theosophy and how to fulfill the Dharma of the Theosophical Society. The TS is a center for spreading the ageless wisdom, for combating intolerance, dogmatism, superstition, and fundamentalism, which were, are, and will always be obstacles to man's inner progress. On the day of Adyar, this vibrant center of our beloved Theosophical Society, let us remember that it is from the attitude of an open mind, a pure heart, an eager intellect that we can transform our lives. We must position ourselves as defenders of the truth, as defenders of those unjustly attacked, and have that deep understanding of the principles of Gupta Vidya, which is fundamental to maintain, as Bruno did until the last moment of his life, a brave declaration of principles. I will conclude with his words. No matter how dark the night is, wait for the dawn. Rejoice and remain with integrity. Return love for love. Let us honor these words by making ours a life of integrity, service, and brave declaration of principle. Thank you. Namaste.